Okay, so this is something that I struggle with, and I think we may have touched on it, but the happiness, it's something for me that most of my success, like let's say with football, it's come from me just locking in, pushing happiness to the side. This is what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm miserable. I don't care if I'm depressed. Like, I don't care. I need to just lock in order to get to this goal. And as I get older and older, I realize that I need more of a balance. But it's tough because it's like I'm always going to fall back on what I know will get me the desired outcome that I'm looking for, rather than, well, let me try to have a little bit more enjoyment in my life. So right. I'm always balancing between the pleasure and the purpose. And it's almost like, if I can describe it, let's say I have a cup. Mm-hmm. If I have a cup, and I'll ask you this, if you had a cup in front of you, let's say at 25 years old, matter of fact, you're 35, you're me.
Yeah.
And you have two bottles of whatever, you have your bottle of pleasure and your bottle of purpose.
Yeah.
How much are you putting in your glass of each? Like, you can only fill up, obviously it's going to be, maybe is it 50% purpose, 50% pleasure? What would your cup consist of?
Oof. Well,
at 35. At 35.
35, whoa, that would have been, yeah, that was actually, back then, which is kind of funny, I went the other way at 35, and I added more pleasure. Because at that point, I had been with Gallo 12 years, I guess, 13 years, moved back to Arizona. Friends were all there working. I'm still working hard, married, no kids yet. And I made the decision for more pleasure. So I bought a motorcycle again. So it'd be like you going back into football, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to go in and because to me it was fun. Mm-hmm. And so I picked pleasure at the time, put my career actually on hold because the Gallo didn't appreciate me because I turned professional again. They didn't, regional professional, not the motocross, supercross like you see on TV, just local West national stuff. And so I was riding again. Happy as can be, right? Because when I'm on a bike, I'm happy as can be. And I picked pleasure. Hurt my career for a few years.
Mm-hmm. But was it worth it?
Well, that was 2 blown ACLs, microfractured my knees, both tib femur joints, shattered or cut all the nerves in my forehead. I had another major concussion, knocked out for 10 plus minutes, lost 4 hours. But yes, it was worth it. And the only reason I stopped and I went back to work as opposed to pleasure was I couldn't ride anymore. So I took that pleasure energy and I put it into work and was more successful.
You knew that you could always go back and do well on that side. Yeah. You knew you could always,
Yeah, and it's my issue with riding a bike isn't doing well or not. Is I it's kind of like the kids at the basketball court that played college ball or maybe semi-pro, went and played in Italy or something. I had some from friends back in Phoenix that did that, and they thought they could still make it. And you laugh at those guys, like, dude, you're 35 years old. You're not joining the Celtics. Let it go, right? But my problem was, like them, I get on a bike, I don't think. It's literally natural. Some little kid comes by and hits you or, does something, it's on. And I was a little aggressive when it came to riding. So it would be on, and I'd go after him. Literally, 17-year-old kid trying to make it like I did, and here I am chasing him down, trying to pass him, right? Not just this mental thing in my head, and I realized I couldn't do that anymore. At that point, I could ride, but I couldn't ride at the track because I was going to be 16 again, and so I didn't. I haven't ridden a bike in 20 years. So yeah, but at 35, I did pleasure. Now I took that same passion, if you will, into my work to the opposite way for the next what would have been 3 years, and very successful. I was at E&J Gallo at the time. opened up Walgreens. So the reason that you can go to Walgreens and buy wine and beer right now is because I worked with Walgreens. A couple other people, not just me, but I was the guy who put wine back in Walgreens. And at the time, I was doing convenience for Gallo, had a 65 share of the market. We did more wine in Gallo than we did in restaurants, bars, and stadiums. Worked my ass off. Killed it. Absolutely killed it.
So that became your new passion.
That was it. But I was also working 6-7 days a week, traveling 4 days a week minimum. And it was just the opposite. 100% of mine was work. No outside. I mean, my wife, I was married, didn't have kids at the time. And then I had my son in 2005. And that was a blessing because then that made me change a little bit, settle down. And the reason I left Budweiser, I'll take you